There was a day I missed my flight. I was now at God is Good Park in Lagos trying to get a bus that will go quickly because it was a meeting I could not miss in Abuja. And I paid for front seats to have some peace. So one man brought one girl to put her by the driver and to tell the driver that please somebody will pick her up in this thing. And they packed a lot of loads into the vehicle that his wife will pick her up. And I asked him, where's your wife? Is she in Abuja? I said, no, she's at the airport with his kids. So your wife is at the airport with your kids and your house girl is put on bus to follow road to Abuja. Why? The man just looked at me somehow and walked away. That was when I started to interview this girl though. We now opened her clothes, see beating marks, slashes of koboko on her back. So me and the driver started to plan it. So
Episode of My Strong Why Show is proudly sponsored by Low Data Publishing, a subsidiary of Low Data Consulting LLC. At Low Data, we help high-achieving entrepreneurs, professionals, and faith-driven coaches turn their stories, wisdom, live assignments into best-selling and six-figure legacy book. Because your story isn't just a content, it is a currency, a calling, and it is a catalyst for transformation. So if you be sitting on a message that the world needs to hear, don't let fear or confusion set in. Let's help bring your book to life. Book your free consultation now at lodataconsultingllc.com, and I'll see you inside. Wow, finally. Well, to those of you that doesn't know why this finally is sounding like this, well, you will soon discover why. The reason why I'm sounding this finally is because you know what it means when you have been trying to get someone to sit down on a call with you and it's like, and it is not as if he doesn't want to. It's just because of how busy his line of schedule is. And I want you to just sit down and relax and let me just profile the amazing gentleman that I have today on My Strong Why Show. Imagine moving from life-risking deployment as a combat engineer to building companies that keep others safe and founding an NGO that rescues girls from abuse. That is the story of Ambassador Dr. Oamien Roy Okhidievbie. He is a Nigerian military veteran who became a security industry entrepreneur and an outspoken advocate for veteran and community safety. In a short while, I'm going to be allowing Ambassador to actually introduce himself because I know there is no much I can do to do justice to him. If you want to let me try, I would say he started his career as an Army Combat Engineer Corps, and he honed his skill such that he was able to lead a private sector security team. And when he retired, he co-founded August I Limited. And that's a security outfit right in the heart of Nigeria, where he is using his expertise and his wisdom in a facility that is helping to redefine how HR and outsourcing with regards to security is being done. And he's also a veteran, like I've rightly said, and through this his Armed Forces Remnant Association, he has been able to provide free security services to all vulnerable and those people that really need help. And in today's conversation, we are going to be exploring the why behind the gentleman called Ambassador Oamien. Let's get into it. Good afternoon, Ambassador, and how are you doing today?
I'm very fine. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Exactly. I'm so privileged to have you. And this today, I'm just going to be relaxing because I know there's a lot I'm going to be learning. First and foremost, to have an army veteran. Am I getting the salute? I want to throw my first salute to
Yeah,
honor a
correct.
veteran, to really appreciate all that you are doing and you are doing, even right here in the diaspora community with it. Little time I have gotten to meet with you, you have demonstrated the fact that regardless of where you find yourself, there's no excuse for you not to make impact. And whether back home or here in diaspora, it has been very loud and very, very conspicuous that every one of us has gotten the space to demonstrate what we have inside of us. And we should never give any room for excuses for us to shine our light. And I know you are a Christian, you are a child of God, and there has been so many parts to you that I am hoping that at the end of today's discussion, I will be able to get to unpack so that I will be able to look at the angles to which make you talk the way you talk, act the way you act. And sometimes I get sometimes I'm like, am I sure this man, the way he's talking? Oh my God, what is going to happen? What if these people come after? And you're so bold and very, very passionate when you are defending what you know to be the truth. And I'm just grateful that today we are able to sit down with you and learn. So let's go through your career from your beginning. What was the why behind you going through that path of becoming a military person? And then let's take us through how the journey eventually take you through, military entrepreneurship and now an advocacy in many platforms. Let's meet the why.
Wow, wow, wow. I think it's my turn to say wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, you
Well,
definitely can.
this is a great opportunity because I've never done this before. I've never had the chance to reflect on the journey and where we jumped on the bus, all the bus stops we have been passing on the road and where we are going to. But I appreciate this, and I can tell you that I've also been following you, and my impression on why I'm even talking to you is your profession as a book writer does not only go into financial expectations. Even when people cannot pay when they hear the amount, you still create platforms where you are mentoring them to write their own book. So you are not only saying, I must be the one to write it. You are saying you can write it yourself. You can come through a training process. And I just looked at it. I said, giving people the nets to go and fish or giving them a fish to eat, and in the next minute, they are hungry again. And you write a book for me now, and everybody says, I like this book. Then I will now be bringing them to you. Or do I learn from you how to write a book, write my own book, and people come and say, I love this, your book. You say, okay, I wrote it myself. I can write your own. Or I can send you to Madame. She will teach you how to write your own book. So it's going to expand into a fair where everybody has an advantage, and that is one of my driving force, where people do not monopolize opportunities, where you cannot be the only one, and when you die, history will say there was a car being driven in this generation, and the man that was manufacturing that car died and left. So no transfer of experience, profession, or that mandate is transferred. So having said that, I come from a background that is diverse. Let me start from my origin. My dad is from Edo State, Onwan West, Uhomura to be precise. And his own mother is an Ijebu woman.
Wow. You are
So
striking a chord. I am a pure 100% Ijebu. Wow, great. Maybe
Most
that is.
most of my brothers, they answer Dele,
Mm,
Dayo,
mm,
Yabo, Ayo, my sisters. So
wow.
people ask, are you for Yoruba? I said,
Mhm.
my grandmom is Ijebu.
Yes.
My dad is Edo on one west. Then he got to the north where he went to work and do business. That was where I met my mom, who is a Fulani woman.
Mm.
So my mom is Fulani, dad is Edo, grandmother Ijebu.
Oh,
Then later, my two kids now, I got married to an Igbo woman. So I
wow.
completed the Wazobia circle.
Wow. What? So you are detribalized. You are a complete
I
Nigerian
don't have a
in
choice.
the sense of it. Hmm.
So growing up, I couldn't align with the tribal sentiment that
Sentiment.
was running. I also couldn't align with the religious sentiment because my
Hmm.
mom has a family background of Muslims,
Wow.
and
Wow.
that made it possible for me to open a door there and say there are people here.
Hmm.
Even if you want to win them to Christ, you have to first of all align with them,
Hmm.
before you can win them. So I was tribally centralized, religiously centralized, and then the most dangerous part is the ethnic profiling that we do when we hear that there is an armed robber caught and they said his name is Shegun. We say, hey, all these Yoruba guys, they are
That's it.
just so
Yes.
criminal.
Mhm.
Or they say the name is Emeka. Igbo no go leave a
No,
criminal.
now. Hmm. Hmm.
But you don't know that individuals are criminal themselves. They align with that irresponsibility and they should own up to it as an individual and a
Hmm.
citizen of the country. If you can get that kind of mindset, you will firstly be able to address criminality as a crime, not ethnic profiling. So growing up, I started to reason all these things out, and I'm sure there is a youthful interest in security because one way or the other, I found myself joining the Boy Scouts in Benin City when I was in primary school. I joined the 11 Benin troop.
Wow.
We used to trek to Payne Primary School field to go and march, wear our uniform.
Yeah.
Then on national days, you wear your uniform, you go to the national stadium, you see the
Yeah.
Boy Scouts marching, the Girls Guide.
Parade.
So even in schools,
Gates. Wow.
you are proud some days you wear your uniform as a Boy Scout. You
Hmm.
identify as the security architecture of the school,
Yeah.
of the environment. And all those things just got lost somehow anyway.
Hmm.
And Nigeria just concentrated on cultism. So instead of me to be boasting that I'm a Boy Scout, now I'll be boasting that I'm in a cult.
Hmm.
And being in a cult became the wherewithal,
Hmm.
as children growing up in Nigeria. Some are from wealthy families, some are from poor families, so you can't really say. And
Hmm.
the ones from the wealthy families, they are the ones funding the cult activities with their dad's money before later
Hmm.
cult groups started to go for robbery and then all those kind of things to raise their own fund, kidnapping, yahoo, to raise fund, So, but Boy Scout was my first call in
Hmm.
security, and that was where there was a man that was training us there. His name is Mr. Anyanwu, you
Hmm.
know. And I learned recently that he just passed on. And
Wow.
being the kind of person I am is one of my
Necessary.
agenda. When I get to Nigeria in November, we are going to look for his family, and I'm going to call all of us online that
Hmm.
benefited from Mr. Anyanwu's training, his
Hmm.
discipline, so that we'll be able to reach out to the family.
Hmm.
So being in that Boy Scout began to shape my mind towards securing people, protecting people.
Hmm.
Then the best part of being in the Boy Scout was living ethical. how to be able to design yourself to be uncomfortable when you break rules. When you find yourself beating the traffic light, it's not comfortable to you. Even if you are in a hurry and you did it by mistake, you find your adrenaline pumping and it's like, what did I just do? What did I just do?
Wow.
You know, so breaking the rules became, yes, it is not normal, you know. And from that Boy Scouts, I went into school, and that was when I wanted to get into secondary school. 1982, I was, I think 12 years old. Then I now lost my mom. So when I lost my mom, incidentally, my mom was like a roundabout in the family, because my dad had 4 wives and 21 children. So she was the mother of all the children. She will buy clothes for everybody. She will embrace all the children, you know. So the family became mysterious. When I say mysterious, it's like if you are a wife and you have 4 or 5 children, your 5 children will not be loyal to you alone. You will see one of your child will go and love another woman's child more than he love his own sibling from the same mother. The whole thing just mixed up. So you can't say, this is my mother's children, we are one. No, 1 or 2 will love another child more than you know, and we grew up accepting it. So when I say this is my sister, she's from the same mother with me, but she will love another boy from like a brother with the same mom more than you. So it helped the family to now become diversity in similarity, you know. So that helped us to also look at the diverse nature of Nigeria, to say, even in my family, people love people that are not direct bloodlines from their mom and dad, you know. So I enjoyed that system. And when my mom passed on 1982, I now had to start joining some guys that were doing bodybuilding. I now saw myself as the one to protect the house, because most of my brothers, they go for boarding schools and they are not at home. So I'm the one in the house with some of my sisters that are around. So I now started doing bodybuilding. I will escort my sister to work. I will go and wait at the junction of the street to walk her home and say, hey, who dare you to touch my sister, you know?
Depending.
So it's just so long, and we grew up like that till when I got into secondary school. We were still making sure that we don't get out of focus. We don't join any cult group. In fact, it was a mandate to me, because every day in Edo State, it was just cultism.
Back then.
Yeah, and people, till now, it's my state. Even the governor is trying, if you go online and ask for cultism parameters, you will see that it's one of the things that Edo State is fighting to eradicate, you know. And to get into the university, then people will even be telling you, join this cult or join this cult, because the lecturer is there, the dean is there, they all pass through. So I said no. So one of my elder sister she went for NYC in the north. She now came home. She brought a military guy home, a lieutenant. And that his name, he retired as a Colonel Abare. You know, when he came home, I looked at the uniform. I looked at everything, the way he organized himself, brush his teeth, take his bath, everything shining, crispy. I said, no. I think this is the most dangerous cult to join.
Wow.
I said, instead of me to join these other ones, let me join the biggest cult, which is the military. So I thought, you know. So that was how I got into the military. But later, I now discovered that there was an ultimate cult, you know, and that cult was the one that Jesus Christ came to form by himself, you know, the cult of Christianity. And that was the highest cult anybody can join, and I also joined that cult. You know, so
Wow.
that is just a brief anyway.
Oh my God, that story. Enough. We can get movie out of it. Like, I was just looking at, but the first and foremost, thank you for sharing this truth. Do you know what I was hearing? The fact that that environment back home in Nigeria could give you the opportunity to see a detribalized country. Not many people could have that privilege.
Yeah.
I will tell you for real that until I left the shores of Nigeria and I came here, that was when I was totally free from that world view of some of what you are describing now. For you to be able to see somebody as an extension of who you are. Like when you look at the religious sentiment, it's true from a home. Like you mentioned Ijebu, your grandparents will be Alaja, and you have in the same family, you have Christians. So you could see when it is Ileya, everybody goes to Alaja. We
Yeah.
chop and when it's
Thank
December,
you.
so
Thank you.
now I'm able to see that this is really possible. And the fact that help you early in life to shape how you are going to see. And I think that is one of the secrets to why you are able to go and do all that you do. Because you can imagine, so if I'm fighting my family. If I'm fighting Emeka, I have another version of Emeka. If I'm
Mhm.
fighting, this is from my mother's tribe. So
Mhm.
everybody is present and you can't be fighting yourself or your
Mhm.
family. And that is the best way to see the epitome of what love represents. When you are able to see others and you're able to see yourself and you love them the way you love yourself and you don't want to hurt yourself the same way you don't want to hurt others. Well, thank you for sharing that truth. I'm so really, and that is what is fueling your why. Now let's look at how that is playing out now, because we could see the security back home and everything that kind of give us fear or make us want to think, are we safe, are we safe? And let me ask you that, what are you going to say with regards to how we can instill this mindset that will help us see each other as an extension of what's supposed to be true family and true community? Because it is when we're able to get our minds off those quote unquote, those sectionalism and saying I'm from here, this is mine, that is not, I cannot, that is when we can truly forge a unified nation. What do you think how can we begin to see ourselves as one, regardless of some of these differences that society has created to keep us away or to keep us divided?
Okay. Now, what I noticed, because in my tenure in the military and post-military, what I noticed is that violence was weaponized in Nigeria
Mm,
among Nigerians. Now, the only way to rule Nigeria, according to the early sect of Nigerians that sought for leadership positions, was the divide and rule system.
mm,
The divide and rule system is where you make sure the people are not one.
mm,
Because if they become one, their voice will kick against abuse, will kick against corruption, will kick against bad governance, and the sect of Nigerians that were going into democracy, the early democracy, they actually wanted to go in to compensate themselves. Because I did a research on it. The military junta, the military rule, the
yeah.
years of military rule, many people were locked up, many people were beaten, many people were arrested, many people were killed, to suppress the civilian agitation for
Mm,
democracy.
mm,
Now, when the military finally agreed to hand over, most of them came into power with grudges.
mm,
Some of them came with the entitlement mentality that I was locked up, so I'm entitled to be a voice in democracy, you know, and they came in with that entitlement mentality to compensate themselves.
Wow.
So the only way to grab power was to still apply the military might, which they tasted the raw end. They had the opportunity to convert democracy to intellectual articulation, but they didn't. If they have left democracy as an intellectual articulation approval level, then you would have seen them encourage school debates. Because from school debates, you will now pick out children that are intelligent. You will have seen them encourage history. All our museums, our library ran out of books and dilapidated. You would have seen them encourage this school tourism, where students go to Japan and other countries to see what the international students are doing about their own, and they come back to Nigeria. You would have seen them encourage bursary system, where students are giving money while in school, free education, you know. But they killed all those things because their main interest was to compensate themselves and their followers. So you better be a follower if you need something, you know, so who you are following does not matter. So that was how we started the divide and rule. And to weaponize politics now, to weaponize democracy, that was when we stopped to empower the police, we stopped to recognize the judiciary, we use money and other vices to kill their professionalism, their instituted, constituted professionalism, to deliver justice to the people and to respect the Constitution. We had to kill it. And that means we need to put corrupt people in those offices that will listen to our pockets, whatever you dish out to them and what fear you can impose on people. So that was the foundation we started with after the military, because after military handed over to the civilians, I was still in the army, you know, and instead of people to take a case to the police, they will come to the barrack to report. If somebody is owing you, you will see the person just come with soldiers and they will say, we are taking you to the barrack. Are you a policeman? Why are you arresting me? You know? So that was how that foundation was distorted. So before you know what's happening, people believed more in godfatherism. So everybody started to align. So one godfather will be in the north, one will be in the west, one will be in the east. So anything the three of them agree, the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive cannot change it. So gradually we got a slogan in Nigeria, you will hear, go to court. So go to court means go and take me to court. And then we now had a governors, they will call them Supreme Court governor. That means until you got to Supreme Court before your mandate was given to you. You know, so it became so funny that youths imbibed it because everybody was getting the urgent 2K. So you will see people line up to vote, not their will, but their stomach infrastructure, you know, and that distorted the normal expectation of governance and democracy. Yeah.
Wow. There's so many things that you said that if we are to unpack them, like we may not live here, but I'm enjoying the fact that you are able to profile this, the very core and the source of where and how this all started. When we started having people that are supposed to lead to start to weaponize whereabouts, and that started to become a stronghold upon which so many things that we're now seeing today, it's like becoming a demon that you are finding it difficult to chase away. But let's look at it in this way. When we look at everything you have said and face to face to where we are now, what will be the best way to begin to talk ourselves out of this? Is there any way? Is there any hope? Or how do we, as young men, young women, who believe in the future of what Nigeria and even Africa at large, represent, how can we begin to make a shift from this?
Okay. One of the best way to enlighten a human being is to give that person the opportunity to be educated. To give that person the opportunity not to go to school, but to be educated. To be educated means you can be able to read and write. To be educated means you'll be able to be tutored on a line of profession that you have interest in, not that you just went to read. You see some people, you said, what do you read? Mass comm. Or why are you not working with the TV stations, the production, communication? No, I just had to, because that was the only course available that time. And, I needed admission and, so people must be educated and allowed to go through an education path that embraces their interest, professional interest. People must also be allowed to be educated beyond what their financial capability can achieve. That is when you have public schools, because a boy on the street that the parents cannot fund education for, could be the one that will discover the cure for a disease that will be taking lives in the whole world. The boy on the street that cannot fund education might be the one to bring the new generation type of aircraft.
Wow.
So people must be allowed to go through education, public school, free education, and all that. So to allow people to have the proper education, especially kindergarten and basic schools, that means you must respect the profession of teachers. You must. There are countries that you go to, you see teachers, you see the car they drive, you will see the opportunity they have for getting proper housing. You will see the enviable position of a teacher, the medical care available to them. And they come to the class with a balanced mentality. And they are not aggressive. They are afraid to lose the job, because they must live within the ethics of the profession. They don't come to the class and say everybody 20,000 to get marks. They don't come to the class and print one stupid handout and say that does not interpret the course and say everybody must pay for handout. They don't come and say all the girls in the class must sleep with them before they pass. Because you are afraid to lose that enviable position that you have as a teacher. Your economic opportunity, your health, your housing, and your monthly take home. So we must recognize that teaching profession. We must recognize on that basis of education. Then the infrastructure. What are the tools available? As a student in primary school, do I have access to a laptop? Or I see it as something I just see on movies and television alone? They must have access to infrastructure. They must have access to infrastructure that exposes them to international best practice on whatever academic line they have. And they must trust the process. So Emeka, Nkechi, Deborah, and Amaka, they won't find themselves in the university, while the other Shegun and this and that are not in the university because they are not Igbo and it's an Igbo university. Shegun cannot be in 200 level and I am repeating the class, but Shegun actually did not even write the exam, which I wrote, but I failed. You know, so people must graduate with the excellence of participating in the academic process. So when I come out from school, I must have participated in the academic process. I must not have been found to have used money or any kind of intimidation. Maybe my father is a governor or something, to just graduate without excellence, you know. So if we can achieve that, that means we are building the right foundation. Then the criminal justice system must work. If you steal, you go in for stealing. And if there is a process to educate, get evidence, the policing system to bring criminals to justice, the judicial system to interpret the constitution on the crime that you have committed, the correctional centers. Now we hear that people from prison, they go to rob and come back to prison and share the loot with the prison wardens.
Wow.
Yes. We hear now that people that are sentenced to prison can pay money for them to be lodged in an Airbnb or something where they can be seen to perceive to serve their tenure. So you remember the Bobrisky case. You know, these are cases to show that the prison system does not capture the discipline and the penalty for the crime you committed to show as a deterrence to others, you know. So when you can sideline some of these constitutional processes, you begin to abuse them and you become a godfather in criminality. So other people now begin to align with you because you can make a phone call and change things. So those are the fundamental things I would like to change if I have the opportunity. We must go back to the schooling system. We must change the idea of how you see a police officer. Police officers those days, they don't carry gun. They just hold one stick, kondo or whatever. And when there is necessity for you to be arrested, you will now see the ones with guns. They are not with guns on the street. We don't militarize the environment. The soldier is always in the barrack. It is when it is beyond the police that they come and call us in those days. We don't have any business. We are in our vehicle, move from point A to point B, you know? So we need to go back to the respect for institutions, you know? We need to respect professions, you know? Drugs that are manufactured, they need to be sure that it is appropriate, you know? Every Nigerian put in strategic offices, immigration, customs, you know, judiciary. You must interpret the constitution as it aligns with violations for that office that you hold. And that helps the citizenry to sit up, you know, and become compliant. Those are the things that are really bugging me.
So many things are really coming to my mind when you started and you hit on the fact that education, you know, and I was just quickly going to look at what is it. So the bedrock of everything we have discussed this afternoon, if we are going to ever see the change, it is just on the bedrock, on the core of educating the minds of our young men and young women. That if there's anything that has led us to where we are now, if we can trace it down to how teachers are being treated, trace it down to how the infrastructures that are supposed to be in place to help create that conducive environment where students and where education can really take place, then we are joking if we want to see a better country. And then that investment, how to make our leaders and those people that rule over us, how to make them see the need for that investment and that it is never a waste because it is going to pay in the future, the interest that we will see as in a civilized environment where young people can think straight and they know why they have to say yes to what they say yes to and know why they have to say no to what. Let me now ask about your training as a military personnel before you retire and all what you're able to do. Can you tell us that part that you feel every Nigerian needs to? I know we have NYSC and all that, but what will you be thinking, or how will you see a young man, a young lady that has gone to school? Do you feel there's a part of the training that you've been to that's kind of necessary that you will be prescribing? Even because sometimes I've been able to see some people talk when you see a military personnel or you see a uniform person, there's something about the way they are disciplined, their culture that you just speak to, even their general life as its way. And some of us, maybe we are not privileged to go to military school, or we're just the regular public school. There's still something that is different with that way of, the education or the routine that surrounds that life of a young person. How will you say that could tell or affect or help in helping our youth coming out well-rounded to face the challenges in the future?
Okay. Now, what I discovered in my journey on that area is that every group of people have those that will be exemplary to portray the positive nature of that group. Then that same group of people will have those that will dilapidate and malign the image of that group. So if you have a group of doctors, you will see one that will go and do fake clinic somewhere and was actually a medical doctor, a medical student. If you have military people, you will see one that will go and support banditry, be giving them information or sell weapons to them. So once you notice that is a norm, that means there is a reason to recognize those that stand by the rule of law. There is a reason to honor people that become exemplary in their positions. So people work towards being honored. People work towards being recognized positively as a compensation for their effort not to deviate from status quo. So if I am a good child, I expect my dad and my mom to recognize it and honor it, even if for nothing, to mention it somewhere sometimes, to say, my son, this is what I know about no, my son will not do like this. And when they hear it, it even increases their interest, But when we begin to honor those that destroy a system, the ones that correctly empower, enhances, and improve the system are not recognized. They are not honored. So this becomes a wrong parameter. So there is no example for me to follow growing up, because the policeman I know, Daddy Adeola, who was on my street in Benin City, he retired from the police as a senior police officer. He didn't build any house. The government did not even give him any house. The family of Adeola, they still lived on that rented house until the children started to build their own house. The man had only one car. And when he retired, that car broke down. But you will see him walking like that to church, coming back. Mommy was frying granite. Everybody wants to eat her granite. But because he was not recognized, most people that will want to join the police, or those that were in the police, will now see the ones that were biased, that were criminal, being appointed to head as DPO, as this and that, because of the ability to use them to thwart the Constitution, ability to use them to be criminal. Those are the ones that are recognized. So you are not like, okay, so which one do I join? So in the military, when I saw most of those things, that was when I began to firm up the idea to retire meritoriously. Because I discovered that I was now in a system that does not recognize etiquette, professionalism, and discipline. Because if you empower and recognize and identify and honor those that were on check, everybody will want to align to being on check. But when you begin to see area boys being made counselors, hoodlums being given contracts to run oil and gas contracts, supply, when you go and check, the company does not even have a history. It wins a contract. You check who is the owner of that company. You see that it's somebody that snatched ballot boxes during elections, stabbed people and all that, and intimidates the Constitution. Those are the people being honored. So everybody started to align with such groups, such individuals, and live the line of ethics, professionalism, and discipline.
Wow. Absolutely spot on. I can relate to that. That when you reward, there's a part of our brain, that reward system, it does something. Like you can just imagine, normally you just ask everybody to just go do something, and you didn't attach any reward to it. Some people might say, I'm not going, right? And then when there's a reward attached, then I was just going to relate that to the story of David in the Bible when he was going to defeat Goliath. He was so certain to ask, what is going to be the reward of the person that does it? So even if back then, if there's something that reward does to us as human, it's just painting that picture very well for us, why we must not deviate from that path. And absolutely, it is something we must not allow to be eroded. And also, I'm looking at when we now have role models that are championing a particular cause, they can be the magnets that will attract such to have more force that will make our young men and women to want to identify with. That is so, so, so important. And I want to just look at you as a guardian, as a mentor to a lot of youth. And I know there's a lot of struggle back home. It is real. They said youth are lazy, youth are this. And I can just imagine somebody like you with your background in the military, retired, and then you just pivoted very seamlessly into the entrepreneurship, and into that world. And there's so many people that cannot do that and just walk the path and think it's so easy like that. Is there any experience or something that you can give to help our young men and women connect to how they can also begin to see themselves in the light of not just going to look for the 9 to 5 that is not in existence like before, to see what they can do? Because this is it's something that I want to really imagine. What will endear you to want to go that route and give yourself all into that?
Well, I walked. When I left the military, everybody was like, there's no job outside. You are resigning. There's no job. And the amount that you will be paid, I think I was paid 350,000 naira or something like that, because I was a non-commissioned officer.
What does that mean? Non-commissioned?
Non-commissioned and commissioned. Commissioned officer are those from second lieutenant and above. Non-commissioned officer are those that are private soldiers to master warrant officer. So there was a large difference. And when you come out from the military, if you are a non-commissioned officer, before people can give you like chief security officer and all those things, it's also difficult. They want to employ a retired major, a retired captain, or colonel as a security manager. So you are not even going to get that. So the days that I began to see that I have to leave this job, I said, okay, I must leave this job with a degree first. So one way or the other, when I was serving in Kaduna, I tried to make sure I obtained the national diploma from Kaduna State Polytechnic in Zaria. So I was sneaking to class when I'm off duty, come back to the barracks, sneak to class. So most of the students do not even understand where is this guy coming from. It was later in life, then, he was a soldier, he was a soldier. So that was where I did my national diploma in Kaduna State Polytechnic when I was serving in one mechanized division. So I now moved down to Lagos because I was planning to retire, so I was coming closer home. So I did my HND, Higher National Diploma, in Lagos State Polytechnic, LASPOTECH.
Yeah.
So I did Higher National Diploma there, even while still serving in the military. I get off duty, I go to class. The days I miss class, I will follow up with the lectures and all that. So when I finished my higher national diploma, that was when I now decided that, okay, I need to leave this job now. I have a degree, and I plan to leave. And I read marketing, but I know that when I see vacancies for marketing, they're asking for younger people, then. And marketers, they need to be familiar with the environment, the citizens, the community. I've been in the barrack. I don't even have the right language to come and talk to people to buy this or buy that. I say, see, Roy, just follow your security line. Since you have been in the military, follow that same route. So I went to be reading some books I took from police college. So those books can help me to understand basic security. Then I got a job as a guard. Everybody started laughing because I was still staying in the barrack. I have not been paid. So, Oga, you that is special forces, paratrooper, airborne, bomb disposal expert, sniper. It is now you are going to do guard work. I didn't say anything because I've already joined Christ Embassy Church that time. And I was reading some books from Pastor Chris Akilome, especially the one about the power of your mind. So I now discovered that it was not connection that could actually give you the projectile that you need. It's your mind. It's the power of your mind. If you construct your mind around faith, around hope, around words, positive words. It is not actually what's happening in your environment. You will just fly over those things and you will achieve what you need to achieve. So all of those things propelled me to say, okay, even if I'm a security guard, that means I'm in school to learn the basics of owning a security company. So I needed to learn the nitty-gritty. So that was how I started. Then during interviews, they will say, if you have CPP, if you are a member of IIPS, AISON, AISSON, all these security institutions, they will separate us. And we now stand and we ask the guy, which one is IIPS? They say, they have their secretariat here. Which one is ASIS? They say, they used to have meeting here. Madam, I joined all. So the extent that somebody will come here and say, you there here?
Oh my God.
You there? I know there was no BlackBerry. There was just phones then. No WhatsApp and any group that you can see yourselves online. So most groups that people were forming was by email groups. And Gmail just came up that time. So people started forming groups by email. So anywhere you go, you will see me. I will now ask somebody, this certification you have, where do they do the exam? He will say, you need to, do you have this one? I will say, no, you need to have this before you have this. I will now ask, can you have the two the same time? He say, no.
You
But
can't,
when I
yeah.
go to the institute, I will tell them, can I not do these two at the same time? They will ask me, do you have a first degree? I say, yes, I have my HND. That was how I started to lamp on all those institutions and everything. Even one man I met somewhere, I had guards there, and some Fulani herdsmen and the farmers were having crisis. It was an outskirts in Ibadan. I went to the community, brought the DPO, brought the village head, brought the Fulani head, the farmers, and we were talking. So one man now asked me, say, are you a chartered mediator? I said, no. He said, they have an institute called the ICMC, Institute of Chartered Mediators. And I say, they have senior advocates, all those senior lawyers there. I say, so I cannot do it. He said, if you have your degree and as a retired military, I went to their office. They now told me, as at that time, about 7 years ago, they told me 8 years. They told me it was 900 and something thousand naira to do the exam. I said, okay. I saved that money, and because of my desire, opportunities usually come for that kind of money. Because somebody said I should supply bulletproof vest. Another person said I should do escort for Marine. Before you know, I was able to make some money. I went straight to pay. And I paid to do the fellow exam, not the associate. And I now became a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators. So all the institutes that I know, if you go and check, I am a fellow here, fellow here, fellow here. Because I like to just do the top and just walk away, and So the need to be the best, the need to own your own organization, all arises from empowering your mind. When you can tell your mind that I can do it, and what that person is, I can be, then the purpose matters. Why do you want to be that? And one of the reasons was I saw that we needed money to fund the gospel. Christians need to intimidate spaces as leaders. And when you come close to them, you see, where is your power from? It's not from cultism. It's not from godfatherism. It's from faith and the gospel and what the Bible says about how I can control wealth, and that wins some other people. Even some will not tell you, but secretly they will start beginning to align with their faith, believing that if it gets you there, it will get them there. So those were the things, and empowering Christians and people also make you to begin to look at being one that has empowerment capability. So you must own a business, and the way I talk, the way I reason, the way I'm bold to take bold steps always carries me out of my fear of influence, of age bracket, of academic bracket, to ownership positions, ownership mindset. And that was how I started to register business names, start to follow up and run companies. Yeah.
Wow, what a journey. At one point, I was just like speechless because you just wowed me with the fact that the greatest miracle that can ever happen to any man is a transformed mind.
Yeah.
That once your mind can be transformed, then you have just registered yourself into the school of all possibility, that there is absolutely nothing that is impossible for you once your mind can conceive it and says, let's go. I know among some of the things you do is the fact that you have foundations and I want you to speak about empowerment, just like you mentioned, that it's a tool, money is a tool. And when it is in the right hand, there's a lot of goodness that it can bring about in our community. I want you to talk about the girl child abuse, the White House Foundation that you kind of found. Can you lead us into the story behind that journey and why you you that cause matters to you.
Okay. I have a sister. She's Dr. Joy Osazua. I am sure that she must be your guest because we need to drag her to be your guest.
Thank
She
you.
worked at IMB Bank, and she was in their head office as HRO at Bar Beach Road in Victoria Island in Lagos. So after work, after all the bankers have left and everything, she said she will be looking through her window and she will see young girls smoking crack at the beach, you know, dressing skimpy, going into prostitution at the beach in Lagos. So she started to make inquiries and she saw that some of them are already on the street at the age of 12, 13, maybe broken families, or maybe orphans, maybe one parent died, or all uncles brought them, or trafficked. People brought them to do prostitution from the villages, and in the night bring them out there in the morning. So she started to look at that. And anything she usually wants to do, I will jump in. Because most times she's one of those that have actually believed in me. So we now decided to say, okay, we need to go and report this. So I took her to NAPTIP, this National Association for Persons Trafficking and all those things, NAPTIP. So when we got to NAPTIP, they were interested to know what agency are we. So
what's your business? Why is that bothering you? What do
Why is
you?
that your business?
How
So
is that affecting
we
you?
need to form an organization. That was how she created Wise Heart and made me a co-director of Wise Heart. So we actually rescued some people. We trained them in school too.
Wow.
They passed through a university and they are alive today. Then we reported some cases, we intervened. Friends started to give me hints that there's this girl that used to cry in one house, in one estate. We carry NAPTIP, they will carry mobile police, we will storm the place. And they will rescue the girl. Some children that were being abused, people will give me hints. Even there was a day I missed my flight. I was now at God is Good Park in Lagos trying to get a bus that will go quickly because it was a meeting I could not miss in Abuja. And I paid for front seats to have some peace. So one man brought one girl to put her by the driver and to tell the driver that, please, somebody will pick her up in this thing. And they packed a lot of load into the vehicle that his wife will pick her up. I now asked him, where is your wife? Is she in Abuja? I say, no, she's at the airport with his kids. So your wife is at the airport with your kids and your house girl is put on bus to follow road to Abuja. Why? The man just looked at me somehow and walked away. That was when I started to interview this girl. We now opened her clothes, see beating marks, slashes of koboko on her back. So me and the driver started to plan it. So I called NAPTIP to give me the Abuja command. So they gave me the Abuja command. Immediately we got to the park. As the bus was parking like this, they waited. When that woman just came, because she has arrived already with morning flight, she came in the evening with her husband to come and pick the house girl and the load. That was how NAPTIP people just arrested them there with the girl. And we all moved to their office. So many other interventions that we did with Wise Heart then, before my sister went to Sweden to take care of her children, and she now retired from the banking sector. So you need to call her and say, Madam, you need to go back to your work. Yeah.
That's a lot. I can just imagine that could have been, what's your business? Why do you want to close your head? Why do you want to push? But we may not know lives that are attached to that single girl when she gets it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can just, that is risking your life, risking your, even your very personal, to just want to see that somebody is not left taken care of. Thank you very much for sharing. And I want to also talk about the security. You demonstrated so many space and so many, like you have many parts. And when you talk about having a security outfit and doing this, what will you, how can you, I want you to just share the experience for us, some of why Nigeria is still insecure and what are those security engineering, talking about the military background and how that can be deployed in helping us to still secure and have a well-rounded, secured environment based on some of the experience you've had. And what will you be seeing as a way forward to move beyond the generic of, oh, this, that, to what is obtainable even here in the developed country and what we can do differently back home?
Well, the problem of insecurity in Nigeria, it came from the dilapidation of the judicial system, where penalty for crime
Wow.
became negotiated. So we now had plea bargain, we have de-radicalization, we have amnesty, all those things, negotiation, then we now had forfeiture. So if I was corrupt, I built 2 million houses, the government will say forfeit the houses and go. We have bail conditions too. You can bail yourself from a crime. Then we have the option of fine. So instead of me to serve 10 years, I can pay so and so amount and come out. I won't serve the tenure. Some of those compromises are soft landing for criminality. But growing up, I used to go to firing squad with my brothers to go and watch how criminals are shot. And that is immediately a no-no for anybody that wants to go into crime.
Try or think about it. I remember Anini when I was growing up. I can still remember the picture in the news and also in the dailies where his remains after being fired recklessly.
So if seeing those kind of things is already a deterrent, to a lot of people. And when we compromised the judiciary, we had immediately compromised the security agencies. Because if I arrest someone and I take him to court and the next week the person is calling me, madam, how are you? Say, who is this? Now me now where you arrest now. I don't come out. I don't come out. I go deal with you. So you, the security agency person, you are not living in fear. You're always looking at your back because the people you arrest, so the next time when somebody calls you and say, how are you? One of my boy, they your station. You say, waiting happen. They say, join those people. Don't mind him. I will teach him a lesson. I'll come and pick him tomorrow. I'll take care of you. When I'm coming, I will send one bag to you. Even this Senate president of Nigeria now is saying, I will send prayers to your mailbox. These are things that compromises the effective deterrence of crime. So everybody now believes that if you know the right people, you can do anything. And so that became a citizen deviant. So most people now, if their child comes home with a gun, you say, where you see him? And one of my friends give me for school. What you now do? And we go rob. You will now carry the gun, throw it away, warn the child, change the child's school. Instead of you to carry your child to the police to first say, there are others with him, let them answer for this. They must have killed someone or something. But now, then those days too, if there is a thief in your house that stole even chicken or yam or anything from people's barn, your name becomes publicized. The person will walk around the marketplace. If they want to marry now and they say it from that family, so they are thieves.
Yeah.
If they want to marry from that family, you say, I don't marry from that family. They are this, they are that. So now people buy into criminal families because you want to be sure that they can do anything.
Yeah.
You know, so we have made criminality to be a leadership profession. And that's where we started to get it wrong. So coming into security, I just quickly understood that the police cannot really effectively police. The judiciary cannot effectively educate. The criminal justice system cannot really deliver justice. You know, so what do? The best thing is not to join them, but to always highlight criminality wherever you see it. And when you go, posterity will judge. Posterity will sound your name as one of those that was not in agreement with the distorted system.
Wow. Wow. That is profound. If I'm just taking my time to just look at everything you've shared and how time alone can tell. You know, I was just going to ask you that, looking at you, still young, energetic, vibrant, and you are not just in your 50s, you are also matured and you have done so a lot. And you're still advocating for the veteran community because of so many things that still need to be done. Wow. So I can see how the internal why and the internal, resilience that is in you keep on pushing you to go and continue the advocacy, to go and continue to speak until the change that we want to see here. I know there's no more time, there's no time that can, let me say that we can sit down to do justice to every question that I would love to have as, but at least before we start wrapping it up, I want you to just, if you look at the young men and women, to the youth, as we approach the election year and so many things as regards our politics back home in Nigeria, what will be the advice you will give to us to begin to help us to start the right narrative that can change, if at all there's anything that will change? I know there's a lot of people talking about you just reformation, just going back to our former house has been done before, that we should decentralize power. There's so many things there in the constitution. What would be your advice to Nigerians as we approach that?
Well, I'm not sure that change can come from the people. I'm not sure. I believe in structure. I believe in institutions. I believe in professional process ethics. If we cannot enhance that in Nigeria, we cannot achieve anything. Because if a good egg gets into a crate of bad eggs, the smell from the bad eggs will not even make any other person identify the good egg. And that crate of egg will be thrown away as a crate of bad eggs. Meanwhile, there were good ones there. The smell of bad is usually louder than the smell of good. In a society where that happens, that means that reward system we talked about has not been effective. So when I left the military, I went quickly to Nigerian Legion, Atekoja, to register. Because I thought, okay, that was a safe haven. It's an institution that will protect me. Immediately I got to Nigerian Legion. From the gate, I started seeing this one. I say it's a captain, this one is a lieutenant. I was saying, it's good though, because senior officers are here, even commissioned officers are even here. So after my registration, the guy was now asking me that, do I want to be a captain? Or I said, captain, I'm a non-commissioned soldier or a captain. Captain is for commissioned oga them now. He said, no, you can take a rank here. I said, those people, are they not? He said, no, some of them are civilians. Civilians under the Nigerian Legion. He said, sometimes we call them commissioner or so. I said, no, 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 no. If you want to run commissioner, you run it separately, like man of war, commissioner, Boy Scout, and all those boys brigade. You don't bring it into the Legion. It's a veteran association. You must have served. That was how I just left there immediately that day. Incidentally, the next day I saw on TV that people were protesting. I checked Facebook. I saw that there was a group called the Retired Members of Nigerian Armed Forces, REMENAF. I immediately contacted the leader. He said I should go and join the Lagos chapter. That was how I registered with the Lagos chapter and immediately started to join the advocacy until I became the national secretary. Now, the purpose of your life matters on platforms that you will be found. You know, so throughout that period, I've been bribed many times. I've been threatened many times. We have shut down the Ministry of Defense, which has never happened before. Ministry of Finance, we have shut it down, you know, and so many times the DSS and other people are asked to come and interrogate us. But we have seen the lion. We are not afraid of the cricket, you know, and then that pushed us to empower that process. So if you want to help Nigeria now, you need institutions. I could not have done it alone if I didn't join REMENAF. You know, and REMENAF now is making the whole of the country to look at the Legion and see the discrepancies that are there to correct them. So if we want Nigerians to make it, we must make sure that the judiciary works, the policing system works, and when people are sentenced to prison, they are in prison. So the correctional services work. So if all of those systems works, that is the criminal justice system, then if I commit a crime, I will go through that system and answer for that crime. Then I will be immediately made an example and I serve as a deterrence to others. That is it. Thank you very much.
I want to say a very big thank you very much for what you have said. And I know there's going to be another time that I'm still going to be having you very soon. But I want to sincerely appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on this My Strong Why. And I want to say that for us here in Maryland, even though that's our base, our reach and everything we stand for goes beyond where we are. And I have been privileged to have conversations with so many people that one of the things that I can see is that many of us as Africans in diaspora, we are very, very learned. We, in fact, occupy maybe the 1%. When you look at so many of us that have taken it as a duty to continue to prioritize education and to give it everything we have to make sure we are at the crescendo of every of our career, being the top shot. And that is what you represent, from being a combat engineer to becoming a business owner, a business leader, a community guardian. And that reminds us of that journey of what is possible if every one of us can put up our mind to believe in what is possible. And I want to say that to every of our viewers, please subscribe to My Strong Why Show and also review this episode and let Ambassador Roy knows what part of this conversation actually connects with you. And I want to say that for you out there as we watch, there are many ways you can connect with Dr. Ambassador Okhidievbie and to support all his initiative, the NGO, and so many other things that he does to protect the vulnerable communities, both here and back home in Nigeria. So I will be leaving the link to the foundation and to other great ventures that he sits on, so we can together build the country that we want to see our nation become. And if you're a business owner or you're a professional and you're ready to tell your own story, you want to connect with us at Ludata Consulting. We have a publishing arm that is helping our people to tell their story, because your story matters and it can inspire and it can also change lives, like Dr. Roy is doing. So I invite you to join us same time next time with another amazing guest on My Strong Wife show. Until then, I want to say thank you for watching. And Doctor, it's been a wonderful time talking and hanging around with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
By the way, I forgot to ask you the question. What is one thing that people seldom know about you that you would like us to know? Yes.
Well, most people come to me, colleagues, professional colleagues, military veterans, even serving when they want to leave. And guy, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? If I tell them, go to your local church, take up an office there, be part of the security team, the usher, choir, or whatever, take an office, then make sure you pay your tithes regularly, and make sure you are financially involved in the church projects, the gospel, expansion, and all of those things. If you find yourself in all of those kind of things, the prayer groups and all that, your professional skills, every other skill will be sharpened. Why? Because you now have a purpose. What is killing man is when you don't have a legitimate purpose. If your purpose does not glorify God, does not enhance the gospel, it will die. The only thing that will give it life, fruitfulness, and project it forward is when it serves the gospel. So that is one secret, that when people come close, they now discover this song. We say, because it's not easy. It's a lot of sacrifice for you to believe in a man that you didn't know, you didn't see. And so many people have so many different stories about Jesus Christ and how he came and how he transformed life, how he changed the 10 Commandments to only one, which is love, and how he gave his life to the people. And I asked my military colleagues, we too, we have given our life to Nigeria too. So you don't know that you need to align with who has such sacrifices, and he should show you how to remit on the benefits of sacrificing your life. You know, it's only through Christ that you can actually get the benefits. Thank you.
Wow, absolutely spot on. I must say, you are one of the very gentlemen that is from the military that I'm meeting close to close like this to talk about. And I just want to wish you everything your heart desire as you continue to represent that part and to continue to hold the flag high in everything that you do, both now and in the future. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So, I'm going to give my last salute.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes,
you're welcome. Episode of My Strong Wife show is proudly sponsored by Ludata Publishing, a subsidiary of Ludata Consulting LLC. At Ludata, we help high-achieving entrepreneurs, professionals, and faith-driven coaches turn their stories, wisdom, life assignments into best-selling and six-figure legacy book. Because your story isn't just a content, it is a currency, a calling, and it is a catalyst for transformation. So if you be sitting on a message that the world needs to hear, don't let fear or confusion set in. Let's help bring your book to life. Book your free consultation now at LudataConsultingLLC.com, and I'll see you inside.